Hi guys, today I wanted to share my September customer appreciation cards using the Eastern Beauty bundle, which includes the Eastern Beauty stamp set along with the Eastern medallion thinlet dies. So without further ado, let's get stamping. Tara coming to you from thecraftsergeant.com. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day because I sure am. So today I wanted to share with you these two beautiful cards that you see here using the Eastern Beauty stamp set and the coordinating framelit dies for this. Now this card was created for my customer appreciation cards for this month. So if you place a purchase in my online store, or if you purchase something from me through one of my workshops or whatnot, then I send you a card with your order. So on the inside, I always put a little note, but I use a separate sheet of paper to write my note on, so that way you can reuse this card and re-gift it to someone in your life. So these are the cards that we're going to create. How cute are these? Look how cute they are. All right, so this is what you're going to first need to create this project. You are going to need the Eastern Beauty bundle, and this is a 21 stamp set, and it comes in photopolymer. That's what I have here. I have the photopolymer stamps for this and the matching framelit dies. Now these dies are really cool because you can create so many different variations and patterns with these things. It's ridiculous. If you Pinterest, you'll see a lot of really good inspiration on using this stamp set and the dies as well. So for paper, what you're going to need a piece of Bermuda Bay that measures 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and this scored at 4.25 inches. You're going to need 2 pieces of Whisper White that measure at 5.25 inches by 4 inches. Now one is going to be for the mat on the outside of your card, and the other piece is going to be for the inside of your card. Now this is optional. If you just want the plain Bermuda Bay color, the background, and you just want to write on that, that's fine. You don't necessarily need the second piece. But I always like to use a piece of Whisper White on my colored cardstock when I create cards, so that way it gives it a little bit more pop and you're able to see your writing. All right, so you're going to need these. Then you're going to need, having problems getting it, but you're going to need a piece of melon mambo that measures at 4 inches by 1/2 inch. So here, and this is going to be your this line, or this piece here. And then you're going to need a scrap piece of melon mambo just for die cutting your images out. You're going to need an additional piece of Whisper White so you can punch your circle out. And speaking of punches, that is what we're using. That is what we're using for this video. So this is your 2-inch circle punch, and it's perfect, the perfect size to fit into this little flower piece here. Some additional things that you're going to need: you are going to need some fast fuse for this. You're going to need some Stampin' Dimensionals right here. You're going to need some metallic enamel shapes. You're going to need some acrylic blocks for your stamps. You're going to need 2 types of ink. You're going to need the Bermuda Bay and the Melon Mambo. You're going to need a pair of scissors, and you're going to need ribbon. So this ribbon is actually in our clearance rack. So anytime you're shopping with Stampin' Up, don't forget to look in the clearance rack. They just updated it for this month, and it's really awesome. This is your 1/8 inch stitched ribbon in Bermuda Bay, and this is actually in the clearance rack right now. So this ribbon originally was $6, but guess how much I got it for? It was like $2 and some change. Like, really, it's a whole roll of ribbon. So if you get the opportunity, I will have that link down below so you can look and see what kind of awesome things are in our clearance rack. Don't forget about the clearance rack because you can get some really awesome deals and things out of it. All right, so I think that's all you're going to need for this. Other than of course the paper trimmer, you're going to need a paper trimmer to cut out your cardstock, and you're going to need the Big Shot for this as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin creating these lovely customer appreciation cards. Alright, so first I'm going to take my Bermuda Bay piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to go ahead and burnish my edges using my bone folder. Alright, making sure we got that nice crisp crease. Then we are going to stamp all of our images onto our Whisper White pieces. So first I'm going to stamp this circle image in Melon Marble ink on both pieces of Whisper White. Now this piece of Whisper White, the one that's going to serve as the base, or excuse me, the mat for the outside of my card, I'm going to stamp all over it. But the one on the inside, I'm only going to stamp in the corners. So first, taking our Melon Marble ink, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my circle. And there's no specific way that I'm doing this. I'm just stamping it all over. Alright, now I'm going to stamp this little circle here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's got like little dots in it, so I'm stamping that the same way. Alright, so now I am going to take my Bermuda Bay and I'm going to stamp this little image here, the one with the 3 little dots here. I'm going to stamp that along the card as well. Alright, so we're going to set those to the side, and now I'm going to stamp on my little Whisper White piece. I'm going to stamp my sentiment and this border, as you can see here. So there's the border. I'm going to do that in Bermuda Bay, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiment in Melon Marble. The specific sentiment that I'm using for this is "To think of you is to smile." Alright, so now it's time for us to assemble our card. So before we attach everything to our cardstock base, we're going to create this little border here using that piece of Melon Marble that we cut out earlier. So we're using this strip, and then we're going to use our ribbon for this. So how I like to do this is first, I'm going to line up this little piece of strip on the left side of the card, just placing it where I want it. I'm going to take some of my Stella adhesive. You can use any kind of adhesive for this. I just like to use the snail. And then I'm going to line this up so that way the edges are flush. Alright, so you see that? So now we're going to attach our ribbon. And how I like to do that is now, this is where I take my fast fuse because it has a better bond. And then I'm just going to stick a strip on both sides, on the top and the bottom, that are kind of lined up with this mellow marble strip. And I'm going to take my ribbon. Before I cut my ribbon, I always like to measure it out first. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the end of the ribbon to my fast fuse strip of adhesive, and then I'm going to wrap it around my card. I'm pulling it taut, but I don't want to put it too tight so that way my card is curving. And then I'm going to take that end of that ribbon, and then I'm going to attach it to that other piece of fast fuse that's on here. And then I'm going to just cut it off. So be mindful that you will have some of the fast fuse exposed, and if you flip it over, you might end up getting it stuck to your work surface. So just be careful of that. So I'm going to set that to the side for now. And now it's time for me to create this little flower piece here. Now the cool thing about these dies with this stamp set is that, like I told you earlier, it's really, really versatile, and you can make so many different variations using those dies. So this is one. If you would prefer to keep the flower piece onto your cardstock, you can do that. And then all you have to do is just curl up your petals. As you can see here, you can leave it in your cardstock, depending on what kind of design you're going for. But for this card, I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut these little pieces that are attached off, being careful not to snip my flower petals. Alright, so here's the image that it creates. Isn't that cute? So now I'm going to take a little bit of my Stella adhesive, and I'm going to attach my Whisper White circle with my sentiment on it onto this die cut flower piece. And the 2-inch circle punch works perfect for this. Alright, there you go. Now, before I attach this to my card, I am going to apply my enamel shapes. Alright, so now it's time for us to assemble our card and finish it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up this Mellow Marble die cut piece with some dimensionals. So I'm using 2 to 3 dimensionals on the back. But before I do that, I'm going to attach my mat onto my cardstock base using some snail. And now it's time to attach this on top of that piece, that little Mellow Marble strip. Alright, and there you have it. My September 2017 customer appreciation cards. If you liked watching this video, be sure to leave a comment, like, and share, and most importantly, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of the craft sergeant and Stampin' Up. You'll find a link below with my blog post for this project, along with a free PDF with the measurements, a supply list, and written instructions. Once again, thanks for watching, and happy stamping.